Hi, my name is Sarajane Gracey. I'm a senior early childhood and special education major, and I will be discussing Central Alexia today. Central Alexia is similar to dyslexia. It's in the same category, but the deficits that people suffer from with this disorder are much different. So, Central Alexia, it's an acquired disorder that inhibits the comprehension processes of someone with their reading and writing, so they're receptive in their expressive language skills. It affects, there are 3 different kinds of Central Alexia that I'll be discussing, and they affect various regions of the brain depending on what form of Alexia you have. There's the damage to the occipital cortex, which is the visual cortex, so it's difficult for people to decipher what they're reading. And then the temporal parietal lobe of the brain, so that is a deficit with language skills, so reading, writing, comprehension, all literacy aspects. So there was a man who suffered from Alexia. Alexia isn't very well known, but an author by the name of Howard Engel was diagnosed with Alexia in 2001. He's been an author for years, and he woke up one morning and he walked outside to get his newspaper, and when he went to read it, he said it was like he was trying to read a foreign language. He couldn't decipher any of the words that were written. It was like he also stated in this book that he wrote, The Man Who Forgot How to Read, he stated that it was like looking at a crossword puzzle in Turkish. So he just couldn't understand anything that he was trying to read. He was an author of mystery novels, and this one quote in his book, it took him 6 years to try and learn how to read, going through multiple different types of therapy. And in 2007, he wrote this book called The Man Who Forgot How to Read. So he says that he was doing well, and by he means the main character of his novels. He was a mystery novel writer. Said he was doing well when I, the author of his being, was stricken with a sudden stroke in 2001, which put us out of the writing business by robbing me of the things I loved above all things, the ability to read. So he was never able to read. He couldn't, whenever he was first diagnosed, he couldn't read and he couldn't write. He said that his writing, he would write down ideas for a story, and then he would have to immediately read over the ideas that he wrote down. If he didn't reread his ideas within the next 5 minutes, he would not be able to read it an hour later, 2 hours later, a day later. It would take him 2 hours to read 1 page of what he had previously written. He also said that everything would seem to be in place until the very moment I needed it, as if things kept dissolving on the tip of my tongue. So it would be like he was trying to speak, and then he just couldn't say anything. He couldn't think of the words that he needed to use. So the first form of Alexia that I'll be talking about is phonological Alexia. So Alexia is more common in adults than in children. It's typical of a stroke. So if someone is to have a stroke, they could suffer from this. And then also lesions. So for phonological Alexia, it could be lesions in the left temporal parietal lobe of the brain. So like I said, more often in adults than children. So with phonological Alexia, you could read common words. So you could read the word cat, mad, flower. It's a lot of environmental print. So if you see an exit sign every day, you would know that it says exit. Or a sign that says do not enter, you would know that says do not enter. But then you would struggle to read all the nonsense words or pseudo words. So words like bap, limb, fut, dag, vim, all those weird words that don't actually mean anything, but for whenever you're testing students when they're young, you need to know their nonsense word skills so that they can, this is knowing that they know sounds of letters. So if you suffer from phonological Alexia, you wouldn't understand all the sounds that the letters are supposed to make. So there's deficits in the phonological processing skills. So deficits in repetition, difficulty blending phonemes, and difficulty with nonsense words or pseudo words. So repetition would be something where you're reading a sentence in a book, and it could be something that says, the cat is sitting on the couch. And you would try to read the sentence, and you would get stuck on a word and keep repeating it. So you could say, the cat is sitting on the couch. So it would be something where it's kind of like a stutter, but you just keep having to repeat the word until you can move on to the next one. The difficulty blending phonemes, it would be something along the lines of knowing that the word cat comes from C-A-T, and understanding that the sounds of the letters are k, at. You wouldn't be able to put those three sounds together to make the new word. So it's basically, if you have central Alexia, it's like you're going back to first grade with your reading and your writing. You have to relearn everything that you learned a long time ago. And then the difficulty with nonsense words, like I already said, not understanding the letters and the sounds that they make. So because this disease is rare, there aren't many treatment options that are readily available. So there's practice blending the phonemes regularly. You can do that continuously, which is an easy practice. Just can repeatedly act and having them combine the words to understand the letters and the sound correspondence. And then the multiple oral rereading. I'll be talking about this a lot because that's the only treatment that would really work for Alexia. It's continuous repetition of a reading test. So you would sit there and you would get one passage and you would just have to keep reading it over and over and over again to rebuild those comprehension skills of being able to decode and understand the letters and the sounds that these words are making. So it would help improve all the read aloud ability and producing words. It's not explicitly for comprehension, so it's not the understanding of what is being read or the meaning of what is being read, but it's knowing what the words say. So it's not necessarily understanding that a flower is planted in the ground and it smells good. It's understanding that the letters F-L-O-W-E-R say the word flower. And then intensive and consistent instruction in phonics. Phonics is the building block of all education with the reading and writing. So that's very important to reestablish the phonics understanding before moving on. The other form of Alexia is deep Alexia. It's very similar to phonological Alexia. However, this not only is the understanding of words not accurate, but also the understanding of the meaning of words is difficult. So it's a lot of semantic comprehension. So reading nouns and adjectives is easier than reading verbs. And then semantic paralexia. So there are different forms of semantic paralexia. It's reading the word castle and thinking that it means king. So you would read the word castle, but say king whenever you read it. So if you said red, but the word is yellow, you would know that they would understand that red is the color of blood, but wouldn't know that they were reading the word yellow. So the treatment methods for deep Alexia are the same as phonological Alexia. And then surface Alexia is not understanding the letter-sound correspondence. So not knowing the words that go with one another when trying to read a word. So not understanding that the word cat could be pronounced, or looking at the word city, city is a better example, but thinking that it's kitty, because they know that the C sound makes the hard C, so it should be k. So saying kitty instead of city. The treatment methods are similar. The same thing, the multiple oral rereading, practice reading sight words, and recognize words frequently.